What's going on, everybody? This is Ryan here from Bordertown Families for Full-Time In-Person Instruction out here on the bike path with my dogs Rocky and Gracie. So now we have a year's worth of data related to COVID-19 and schools. Basically how COVID-19 spreads in schools, who it affects, who are the vulnerable segments of the school population that are likely to contract COVID-19, to spread COVID-19, and to suffer from serious illness. Here's the facts and here's the data. So number one, there's no correlation, and multiple studies show this, there's no correlation between schools being opened for in-person instruction and increased community infection rates from SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, the virus that causes COVID-19. There just isn't. Number two, along those same lines, when infections take place in schools, they likely originate with teachers, and teacher-to-teacher spread is far more prevalent than teacher-to-student spread and even student-to-student spread. And that's due to the way that the difficulty that the virus has in basically attaching itself to the cells that align young children's upper respiratory systems. It's called the ACE2 adapter or receiver cell. And that causes the spike protein in COVID-19 a very difficult time in, again, attaching itself to the upper respiratory system of children. Number two, the focus initially was on that, COVID-19 is spread through these larger droplets in the air. So on surfaces rather. So a lot of school districts emphasized enhanced cleaning over ventilation, masking, and distancing. We now know after a year's worth of data that COVID does not spread as easily or as readily on surfaces as it does through the air. So it's not really the droplets that are making people sick. It's really these aerosols that are making people sick, which tend to stick around the air longer than large droplets, which tend to stick on surfaces and spread through surfaces. These aerosols really, should have caused schools to pay more attention to ventilation, to masking, to distancing than enhanced cleaning. A lot of school districts would take a day out of the week or maybe several days or even close early for enhanced cleaning. When we realize now the science and data shows that it's really the aerosols, it's really ventilation, it's really masking, it's really distancing 3 feet, not 6 feet, that will prevent the spread of SARS-CoV-2 within schools. So that's the other factor. And then, the other thing too is, and the other side, the pro-school closure side, is continuously diminishing and belittling the education loss and also the mental health implications that the school closures have had on our children. And that is wrong and it's unethical because that is real. Education loss is real. Mental health issues that have been caused by social isolation, by not having contact with peers, by basically sitting young, vibrant, energetic children in front of screens all day long. Not only for school, but these children have working parents who have to work either from home or report to a job. And a lot of times, the only thing left to entertain children are screens. So we're raising screen-addicted children who are suffering from social isolation, and they're not getting the fresh air, the exercise, the social interactions that make childhood just a great time for development and growth. They're just not getting it, and we can't let the pro-school closure side diminish those facts. We can't let them diminish that reality. This is real. So there are no reasons, and we have a year's worth of data to show it, that schools should not be open for full-time in-person instruction. If you look at states like Florida, like Iowa, like Texas, and other states where schools have been open for the most part, basically this entire year for full-time in-person instruction, they don't have any higher rate of community transmission and also mortality rate than states who have had serious shutdowns and serious lockdowns with their school districts, like New Jersey, like New York, and other, like California. The rates are either lower or about the same. New Jersey and New York lead the nation in mortality rates, and they've shut down schools very hard. So, then we have to ask ourselves, the question is, if lockdowns and school closures were good preventative measures for preventing the spread of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that leads to COVID-19, then explain to me New Jersey and New York. It's unexplainable. The fact of the matter is that these lockdowns have had little to no impact on the spread of this highly contagious, highly infectious respiratory disease. So we have to start looking at the facts. We have to start looking at the data. We have to demand that our schools open up for full-time in-person instruction now, because the science and the data is on our side. And the fact that they're not open up and the fact that they haven't been open up is a tragedy. And I've said it since September. The people who were in positions of power, who had the ability and the authority to open up these school districts, are going to be judged very, very harshly by history. We're going to look back and we're going to see that this was one of the biggest overreactions to a disease that, for the population, let's just say, or let's take the 25 and under population, 1 in 1 million people who get infected with COVID-19 will die. 1 in 1 million people in the age group 25 and under. The biggest factor to morbidity with COVID-19 is age. And then there are other factors, people with compromised immune systems, people with pre-existing respiratory conditions, people with pulmonary conditions, people with diabetes, people who are overweight. Those are the comorbidities, and there's an average of 2.6 comorbidities per death related to COVID-19. And we're not even counting the deaths, right, guys? I've talked about this before. Nobody has ever, we're starting to do it, but we've never, especially at the beginning, made a distinction between those who die from COVID, and there are, and those who have died with COVID. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the people that have died from or with COVID were in bad physical condition, poor health, and it's not going to be, it's politically incorrect to say, but they didn't have that much longer anyways. Anything could have basically led to their death, whether it's a cold virus or the flu or pneumonia or a stomach bug. These are not healthy people who are dying from this disease. And is it worth shutting down the country and the economy and keeping children out of school? The answer to that is equivocally no, it's not. So we got to fight every single day to get these schools back opened up. Say bye-bye. And I'm out here in the sunlight getting some vitamin D. There's science behind vitamin D in COVID-19, and a startling number of people who end up in the hospital because of COVID-19 infection. It might be 70 plus, 80 plus are vitamin D deficient. So take your vitamins and get on a good vitamin regimen and do things proactively to stay healthy and boost your immune system. I'm gonna leave you guys there. Enjoy your Saturday.